Okay, we are going to practice making a couple trees today. We're going to draw a pine tree and a deciduous tree, and then you're going to pick one of those trees or both those trees to put in your landscape. So we're going to take our paper, don't have it this way, have it the long way, landscape. And we're going to draw one tree on one side and one tree on the other. So we're going to start with the pine tree, which is the easiest one, and I want you to just go right along with me for this one. We're going to start by making a straight line up, and this is going to be both our line of symmetry and where our trunk is. It's going to be our trunk too. So go ahead and draw a line. And we're going to, let me just say that this is not the only way to draw a pine tree. Some of you already know how to draw them, already draw them pretty well and complicated. I'm trying to show you a way that I think everybody can do it. So it might be simpler than you do, and that's okay. But just try along with us anyway, because it's just practice. All right, so at the top of it, I'm going to start with a triangle shape here, and I'm trying to use that as my line of symmetry. So go ahead and draw a triangle like that, something like that. Now, nature is never perfect. A pine tree in real life is never going to be perfectly symmetrical, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, so once you have the top one, we're going to make the next one. And each one of these triangles is going to get bigger. From now on, the top is going to be cut off. It's going to be more like the bottom of the triangle, but I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger than the one before it. I'm going to reach it out a little bit further than this one. And I'm going to keep going. Now you might draw 3 of these. You might draw 4 of these. For this video, I'm going to go ahead and do 4. All right, so you really could stop here. We could just say, okay, here's my trunk. My tree is done. End of pine tree. I might erase this out. I'm going to show you one more kind of step to it, which might be nice. You can come in here and make little like textures too. Or we're going to take this straight line at the bottom here and kind of make it shaggy like this. I don't know the shaggy is the right word, but make it, because pine trees, these are like Christmas trees. Pine trees, spruce trees, they have those needles and they're not going to be a smooth kind of tree. And then we might even put some lines in here. When we come in with the white to make the snow in our landscape, this will be having this texture will be a nice little addition. So there's just one more step you can do if you want to on your tree. I don't really like how curved I made that line. There it is. Now, if I love this pine tree, I could even cut this out and trace it into my landscape in a bit. And this is a nice, good size for my foreground, that nice big tree that I need to draw. But let's go ahead and try a deciduous tree. I feel like it's very hard for me to teach you how to draw a deciduous tree, but I'm going to do my best. At the bottom and the base of the trunk, it's where the roots are. And it's where the tree is going to be the widest. So we're going to start really wide and come up together like that. Then we have the thick trunk, which is not as wide, but still pretty wide. We're kind of parallel in here. But now the branches are going to be skinnier. And as the branches come out, they get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. So it goes from skinny to fatter to the fat trunk to the very wide roots. All right, so basically we're going to take our trunk and we're going to just make a couple lines out. Like a crazy Y. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine because it's nature. No straight lines in nature. No perfectly symmetrical trees in nature. Okay, once you have this, we're actually going to come in with basically some letter V's. And remember that my branch is kind of fat, so I'm not making my V too close to that just yet. There's a V. There's a V. You might be wondering what the V is, but this is where another branch is going to be. So this is going to come along here. I'm going to make another V there. This is going to come out here, another V here. It's where this trunk breaks off. So we have this branch here and this one here. Now, as I kind of said earlier, And I'm wondering if this space is too much, I can add another branch if I think so. But remember I said earlier that as it gets further off, it's skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. Right now, it's just sort of ending like as if somebody cut them all off. So I need to make those branches come out very kind of small and scrawny there at the end. You know, depending on the type of tree it is, it might have even more little branches that you could add on if you want to. And I could say, oh, there's a branch back here that's coming off to kind of fill that space in. And sometimes as the tree kind of gets, those branches get skinnier, further away, they get even more kind of curvy and less straight, even though they wouldn't have been straight to begin with. So something like that. Deciduous tree is a kind of tree that has leaves. In the summer, we'd have these leaves covering this. This is the winter. This is a winter landscape. This is just going to be a barren tree, and later I can put some snow on there when I make my landscape. So the last step today is to add my tree to my landscape. So you can see I put a pine tree here. You are making the very close-up tree. We're not going to draw the rest of the landscape today, just one very close-up tree, and it can be deciduous, it can be pine tree. You can see I put a pine tree right there. It can be on the right side, the left side, but you just kind of want it peeking out here. It's not going to fill it. You know, we can have deciduous tree might look something like there's my, I'm just trying to show you real quick. So, you know, something like this. So there's a tree over here. And one thing I forgot to say, I'll tell you in just a second about the deciduous tree, but you know, so you have the tree here. Don't worry about the rest of this. We're gonna leave it empty today. Instead, make sure that you have these nice and shaded, and I don't have them shaded, but this is on darker blue paper, but you can see I started to shade them all in here. So you want to make sure all of your stones are shaded. I know that's very like tedious and slow, but this is where the value part of this comes in. This is where the space part of this project comes in. And we're not going to be doing any shading inside our landscape. It's little, it's small. Instead, we're going to be concentrating on getting those details and using those pens to get them. So we're going to get some pens out soon. But one thing I was going to say is because we're working on those details, you can certainly come into any deciduous trees and put some lines for like bark, and that's going to look really cool, especially when we get those pens out, those really skinny permanent markers out, so you have some texture in here. So I would put that texture here if I chose a deciduous tree. All right, so again, review goals: one nice big tree in the foreground today. You've practiced, put it in here, cut and trace it if you want, or just freehand draw it either on the right side or the left side. You don't need both. This is just to show you. And then lots of empty space. Shade your rocks.